Hey there horror fans, hope you're well. Today's episode of Slow Sips and Deep Cuts is going to feature one of my personal favourite survival horror movies. This movie is from 2005, it's directed by Greg McLean, and the movie is Wolf Creek. So let's talk about this story a little bit more and why I love this movie. There are going to be spoilers, so be warned. Basically, I love this movie because it was probably one of the first survival horrors that I ever saw, and there are certain scenes in this movie that stuck with me for a very, very long time. They had quite an impact on me, and as I've rewatched it over the years, I've seen more and more things about why I love this movie. So let's break down the plot. So the plot of Wolf Creek centres around three main characters, two girls and a boy. They are called Christy and Liz and Ben. And Christy and Liz are from Britain and Ben is a native Australian. They are travelling through Australia, and more specifically they are going to the Wolf Creek crater. And we know sadly that this journey is going to be anything but straightforward, because from the beginning of this movie it has an opening scroll that says it is based on real events, and that always makes my blood go cold at the beginning of any movie. Now, it was marketed like that, but actually, in reality, it took inspiration from quite a few disappearances in Australia. But it sets the tone as being really ominous and kind of bleak. So, essentially, our trio make their journey to the crater, and they go for a hike, and it's all very beautiful. What I love throughout the beginning of the film is there is quite a vibrant soundtrack, lots of colour, it's noisy, really gives the impression of like a hustle and bustle and, you know, exciting times. And as they go to the crater, there's a marked shift in the camera angles, lots of wide shots, and everything quietens down and slows right down. And for me, that really drives home the idea of how isolated these guys are on their travels. And after they've been to the crater, they return to their vehicle and they are having car trouble. The car won't start, the battery seems to be dead. So they're having a bit of a panic because obviously they're in the middle of nowhere. They don't have any mobile phones, and their watches have stopped and all sorts of stuff. And that is when we meet the boy. We meet Mick. Mick Taylor is a rugged local, shall we say, that appears so smiley and so helpful and tells them that he's going to help fix their car. And what I love on the rewatch is that when Mick appears in his truck, you will recognise the truck from an earlier stop they made to get fuel. Mick's truck is cleverly placed in the background. That is referenced later in the film sort of more overtly, but if you've seen the movie before, you're like, hello, that guy, he's been with them for a little while. You know, and Mick is a little bit brash, but he's a little bit eccentric, and he's got one hell of a laugh. I'm not going to embarrass myself by doing it, but his laugh chills me to my soul. It's a horrible laugh. Anyway, John Jarratt is absolutely amazing as Mick, absolutely amazing, and that laugh is just brilliant. Anyway, so Mick, all helpful. You know, he has to take them back to his place because, surprise, surprise, he needs a part for the engine that he doesn't have there. You almost start to suspect that this might be a deliberate setup. But I would say that mainly that is on a sort of second watch. The first time you see this, he's just like this quirky, eccentric local, and he takes them back, he tows them back. The journey takes a lot longer than they thought, and, you know, but he sets them up. They have a drink round a fire. He's got kind of like an abandoned, almost looks like an abandoned car crushing plant type thing. There's lots of trailers, and they sit down, they're having a joke, having, you know, a bit of humour, a bit of a drink, and then the mood turns when Ben tells a joke about Crocodile Dundee and Mick gives him this chilling stare, and you just know that it's going to hit the fan. So fast forward, and we wake up through the eyes of Liz, and it appears that they have been drugged. Liz wakes up bound and gagged in one of the side offices in this kind of scrapyard place. And, you know, kind of contrary to the subgenre, she does damn well. You know, she's really resourceful. You know, she's not panicking. She's got her head on. And this is the thing that I love about Wolf Creek. Every single turn this movie takes, you're like, yep, everything's going to be okay. Yep, everything's going to be right. Yep, Liz has found Christy. Everything's going to be absolutely fine. You know, they're going to get out. And then every time something positive happens, that hope snatched away. So through this, the tension is building and building, and you honestly keep thinking, are they going to get out? They're going to get out. No, they're not. And slowly but surely things transpire, and there's some awful, horrible torture, gore scenes with Mick and particularly Christy, where we get to see the real side of Mick and the contrast between the kind of jokey, sort of facade that he puts on is well and truly dropped, and he is properly sinister. I think Mick deserves way more credit than he gets as being a killer in a horror franchise. And like I say, John Jarratt, superb in this film. So there is a lot of cat and mouse going along, and some grisly, gruesome deaths and some gore. And it's a weird one, this one, the way the film ends. So a lot of the runtime is taken up with the build-up, and a lot of it is taken up by Liz and Christy's plight. And we actually cut to Ben in the latter stages of the film, and Ben is like nailed up to like a cross, like in a crucifixion style, and there's lots of dogs around him, and it's very clear what Mick has intended for Ben. But Ben manages to get himself off, and he just staggers into the wilderness. We don't know if he's going to get rescued, but at this point he's on his own out there. And here's where finally you're like, excellent, there's going to be a happy ending, because Ben is actually picked up in some sort of miracle by a family on the road, and he's taken to hospital. And then the film isn't quite done with us yet, because it clearly says that the bodies of Christy and Liz were never found, and actually Ben was detained for 4 months in custody because he was the only survivor, the only witness. So a lot of suspicion obviously fell on him. However, it does then go on to say that Ben was released and lives peacefully somewhere in South Australia. What I love about the end scene and the end take is Mick is seen walking away into the sunset. It's very peaceful. It's almost like the happy romantic end of a film, and you've just got Mick's silhouette disappearing into the sunset. He's not gone anywhere. He's still there. Keep sending tourists. Mick's going to mop him up. And Mick generally is a really nasty guy. However, I do love the fact that he's given this kind of like humorous edge. It's almost a bit more chilling when that mask drops. Anyway, so have you seen Wolf Creek? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let's talk about it. I will cover the sequel at a later date, because actually I quite enjoy that one as well. But if you've seen Wolf Creek, let me know if you like it. Let's chat. Thanks, guys.